Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. And this time of the year, I grow my seeds differently. Why? It is so easy. I don't have to think about it, and I will have plants growing for this growing season constantly without any thought or work. So here's a way that I love planting seeds, and there's no thought or anything in it. I take a piece of tulle and I just put it inside any container you've got. Now, this particular one does not have holes. Yes, you need drainage, but the way I do it, you don't need drainage. Now what I do is I'm going to put in a potting mix because I'm going to start seeds. See, no holes? Now, why do I not need holes? I'll tell you that in a minute. So we're going to put in the soil, and I do prefer when starting seeds to use a really nice potting mix. And I myself use Miracle-Gro because it's cheaper and I find it works for me. But you use whatever you want. Can you use any type of soil out of another tote container pot? You can, but I want to make sure there's no insects or anything in there to bother my seeds or anything. And plus, I'm going to probably keep it in the house. And if not, I'm going to put it outside in the shade, especially when it's warm. Don't put the seeds directly in the sun because the soil is going to dry out really quick, even without the holes. Now, once you've got it all in there, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your seeds in there. Now, as you saw, I'm using a yogurt container, but you could use whatever you want. Now, you can put as many seeds as you want in here. You don't have to plant just one. Sometimes I put one. I don't usually put one, but I usually put 3, 4, sometimes even 10 seeds. This method is one of my favorite methods in starting seeds. It's a no-brainer. It's just putting the seeds in there and forgetting about it. Now, once you get your seeds in there, you're going to want to water it. Make sure you fold your container down and put it somewhere that had your seeds in it so you remember what's in there. Label it, really. It's good to label it. Now you're going to water it. Don't worry if you overwatered it, because what's going to happen is the potting mix is going to absorb the water. But later on in the day, grab the tulle as if you're picking up a bag and pick it up, and if there's any water left, go ahead and water some plants or do something else with it. In the meantime, right now, for the next 5-10 hours, the seeds are going to get really wet because the water's not going anywhere, is it? And that's why we don't use holes. So today was a beautiful day, and I decided to sit out on my deck and get some more seeds planted. Not counting the ones I already planted. The one you saw me plant in the beginning here, that is a squash in the back. See that squash? The big one? It's still growing in there. No drain holes. It's strictly potting mix and tulle. Now let me explain to you the ways I like to do it, because there's so many different ways. And I know you know that in the winter, before spring is here, or just at early spring, we're so cold and we're trying to get our seeds started. Plastic bags, heat lamps, so you know what I mean, grow lights and heat pads and all that. Well, this time of the year, we don't need any of that, at least not here in Southern California. All I need is some sort of potting mix, water, and a container. Now I can plant my seeds and be completely mindless of what's going on and do my own thing and go back and check the seeds periodically to see if they're ready to grow. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a piece of tulle and I'm putting it into these containers. Now I'm using food containers. You can use anything you want. I've even grown seeds in coffee cups like this. Now in this particular container, I'm going to put a whole bunch of watermelon in there, the sugar babies. Now, I've already put my potting mix in there, and I did mix in some kitty litter. Remember, I've told you how I use kitty litter. I love it because it retains water and holds moisture in there for seeds and plants. Now, it's got to be the kitty litter that has no scent, 100% clay, which is the cheapest kitty litter you can buy. And I get that at Walmart, and I absolutely love it. If I was doing succulents or other plants, I have a different ratio for that. But with this, you can just throw a handful in, and that will help keep your seeds nice and damp. And if you don't have it, don't worry about it. So now I've put the seeds in. I'm adding some more soil to the top, and I'm going to water it. I am not going to worry about any excess water in the container right now. We'll talk about that in a few seconds. Now, see, there it is, all planted. Put it aside and forget about it till tomorrow morning. Now, you can later on lift the whole thing up, and I'll show you, and drain the water out. So when you go through, you're just going to add a little bit of water, whatever water you use to water your plants, and then that's it until they start to grow. Don't fill it with water. But this way, the seeds are going to be damp and they're not going to dry out. It works perfect. Now in this container I'm showing you, see how I lifted out the tool? With the plants, I'm taking my cucumber and I'm going to plant one of them just to show you how easy it is to lift up the tool, remove the seedlings that are growing that you want, and then put it back in the container. Now this one is getting its own little pot. That's it. Now I can take that in the garden when I feel it's ready to plant that cucumber outside, and the rest are going to go back into the food container just like that until I'm ready to plant it. It could be in a few days. It can be in 2 weeks. Look how big the squash is back there. It is so easy to separate. You don't have to have individual pots. You don't have to turn anything upside down because you're going to grab the tool and lift it up. Look at this. I put a few seeds in there you saw in the beginning, and in a matter of a couple weeks, I've got to get it out. It's going to be no big deal. I'm going to separate them and plant them out. Don't worry if a few of the roots break. At this age of the plant, it is so eager to grow that if most of the roots came off, it would still grow. So don't worry about that. And especially in this method, I've been doing this for years, but I love the idea that I can use food containers, which are absolutely free. So we're upcycling, recycling, and we're going to continue to use them even later on. And then with the tool, you're just going to keep planting the seeds. Now, very important here, do label them. No matter how you sit back and think, I'll remember, you won't. At least I don't. And don't take the chance. Just take the label and just put it in there with whatever you want to write, the amount of seeds, the date, whatever you put in there. See, and I'm using the container's top. These had snap-on tops. I cut it up in strips, and I'm using that for my plant labels. Now when I go back, I can quickly look at it and I'll know how many were in there. Be aware of maybe there might be an extra seed or two that might end up sprouting and growing, which would be perfectly fine. And so now you just saw me plant watermelon and some squash. This is so easy because you're just going to drop them in and you're going to forget about them. And then just sit them on a shelf somewhere out of this sunlight. You don't want them in direct sunlight and they'll grow. And then you go back and you check on them. If you forget to water them for a few days because there's no drain holes, they're going to be perfectly fine. And it is the easiest thing to move. When you've got your seedlings in 6-packs or flower pots, you got to turn them upside down. You got to squeeze them and shift them and shake them and try to get them out. Not with these. You're just going to lift it, separate the seedlings you want, and then put the rest back for another day. The tool is so cheap. You get 40 yards, 54 inches wide for $10. I contacted the company and asked them to keep this color, turquoise, at $10, which they have so far, and I absolutely love it. And look at this. You just lift it up, too much water, drain it out, and that is it. And I use it all over my yard. I wouldn't be able to garden without the tool. I do have the link to where I'm buying my tool in the description under this video if you want to just check it out and see the colors they've got and the other prices. But if you're only going to do seeds, go ahead and go to a fabric store and go pick up a yard because you won't need 40 yards. So I hope I gave you some ideas. I've been sitting out here just planting seeds. I put them on the shelf here and now I'm waiting for some of them to start growing. I've got my cucumbers growing. I've got to get my squash out. And oh my goodness, the chia seeds. You know where these came from? From the freezer. And I thought I sprinkled a few in, but I guess there's like 1,000 of them in there. But I'll find some places for them. And then I've got basil. So I hope I gave you some ideas how to get your seeds started right now, since the weather is absolutely beautiful and we don't have to worry about any little greenhouses that we have to set up just to start seeds. Right now, we can start them anywhere. Just keep them in the shade, and once they're ready to plant, get them out. Don't wait this long. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. I think you need your hair brushed. Oh, you are so cute.